Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to be reading 3 scary Reddit winter stories. So sit back, turn the lights off, and get ready to listen. Back in the winter of 2005, I was a junior in high school living in a small town in upstate New York. That year, we were hit with a massive snowstorm that seemed to come out of nowhere. It started as a light flurry on a Friday morning and escalated into a full-blown blizzard by nightfall. The school called for an early dismissal, and I was glad to escape into the warmth of home. The snow piled up quickly, blanketing everything in an eerie white. By Saturday morning, the streets were buried, and the power was out. We had a wood stove, so my family and I huddled together, playing board games and telling stories to pass the time. Outside, the world was a winter wonderland, but something felt off. By Sunday, the storm had settled, and I decided to venture outside. The silence was suffocating, not even the sound of birds could be heard. I took my sled to the nearby hill and enjoyed a few runs, but after an hour, I started to notice strange tracks in the snow. They didn't look like animal prints, they were too large, too human-like, but distorted, almost as if something had dragged itself across the surface. Curiosity got the better of me, and I followed the tracks. They led deeper into the woods, where the trees stood tall and ominous, their branches heavy with snow. I was hesitant, but something compelled me to continue. The tracks twisted and turned, leading me to a small clearing I'd never seen before. In the center was an old, decrepit shed, half buried in snow. The door was slightly ajar, and I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. As I approached, I heard a low, guttural sound, like someone, or something, struggling to breathe. I hesitated, but the curiosity gnawed at me. Pushing the door open, I stepped inside. The darkness swallowed me, but I could just make out the shape of a figure huddled in the corner. It was human, but twisted, covered in dirt and frost. Its eyes glinted in the darkness, filled with a hollow desperation. I backed away, slowly, but it let out a raspy whisper, "Help me." The voice was faint, almost like it was pleading from a great distance. My heart raced as I turned to run, but before I reached the door, the figure lurched forward, revealing a mouthful of jagged teeth. I bolted out of the shed, the tracks now a blur as I raced back home, my mind spinning with terror. I stumbled into the house, breathless, and locked the door behind me. I told my family what I saw, but they just laughed, thinking it was the cabin fever getting to me. The next day, the storm finally broke, but the unease lingered. A few days later, I learned that a man had gone missing in the woods, a local with a history of mental health issues. They found his body a week later, frozen near the very shed I had stumbled upon. As the authorities closed off the area, I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever I saw that day was connected to him. I still wonder about that twisted figure. Was it really him, or something far worse? Now, every winter, I remember that dark, frozen horror, and I avoid the woods like the plague. But I know I can't escape the snow forever. Sometimes, I think I hear whispers in the wind, calling me back to that clearing, beckoning me to join them in the silence. I lifted each leg as high as I could, trudging through the deep snow. The wind tore at me, the storm lashing relentlessly, as I tried to outrun the man hunting me. My chest burned, my legs screamed, but I couldn't stop. In the distance, I spotted a structure, a strange facility of some sort. Relief surged briefly through me, but then I saw him quicken his pace. The snow was nearly 3 feet deep, slowing me down, but I pushed harder. I reached the stairs of the facility, slammed the door shut behind me, and locked it with a key I found inside. I shoved a chair against it for good measure. Inside, I searched for a radio, anything, but found nothing. It's only a matter of time until he gets in, I thought. I need a plan. I bolted to the kitchen, grabbed a knife from the drawer, and cautiously approached the front door. Outside, he was battering against it. "Let me in, you." His voice cut off as he tumbled down the stairs and into the snow. I peered outside just in time to see his body being dragged beneath the snow, his screams muffled and faded. I slammed the door, locked it again, and propped the chair back in place, gripping the knife tightly. I scanned the room, eyes darting across icy windows for any sign of movement, any hint that I wasn't alone. Hours passed in silence. I sat on the floor, knife clutched, listening to the storm's fury outside, waiting for something, anything, to happen. Eventually, I stood and approached a frosted window. What I saw made my stomach drop. A man's head and torso jutted from the snow, his legs buried beneath. Silence pressed in from all sides. Then, suddenly, the man who had been chasing me smashed his face against the glass. He pleaded to come inside, blood and snow mixing on the windowpane. His cries twisted into horrific vomiting, his expression flattening into something inhuman. Whatever was in him moved back into the snow, leaving only emptiness behind. A sound from the back of the building made me freeze. Carefully, I peered around the corner, nothing. My eyes scanned the ground, but it was empty. Then I looked up. On the ceiling, something hung. Its eyes blinked independently, twice each, before it dropped down. It landed on all fours, then slowly rose onto two legs, crouching to fit the low ceiling. I ran. I threw open the front door, shoved the chair aside, and plunged back into the snow as it leapt after me, faster than any human should move. I ran blindly through the snow, heart hammering, knife clutched tightly. The creature's screams, or whatever that horrifying sound was, echoed behind me, closer with every step. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I couldn't stop. Ahead, the landscape opened into a frozen clearing. For a moment, hope sparked, I could make it out of the forest. Then, the creature burst from the tree line, landing in front of me with unnatural speed. I skidded back, snow spraying everywhere, and swung the knife in desperation. It recoiled for a moment, letting out a high, guttural shriek that froze the blood in my veins. I seized the chance, twisting past it and plunging into the blizzard. Hours, or maybe minutes, time was lost in the storm. I ran without direction. When I finally stumbled into an abandoned road, snow up to my knees, I looked back. The forest was empty. Empty, but I could feel it watching. I didn't stop running. I didn't look back again. And I know, deep down, it's still out there, waiting for the next blizzard. Last night, my boyfriend and I were downstairs in our raised ranch living room watching a movie. He went over to the window to crack it for some fresh air. We live in the Northeast, and a couple of days ago we got a decent amount of snow. Wildlife is pretty common where we are, so nothing usually surprises us. But the second he reached the window, he froze. I asked, "Babe, what's going on?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "You need to come look at this." I got up, walked over to the window, and my stomach dropped. There were footprints in the snow, prints unlike anything I've ever seen. I grew up in the woods. My whole family hunts. I can identify almost any track at a glance. These made no sense. The back tracks looked almost like deer or rabbit prints, but the front ones looked like a large bird, something the size of a turkey. But the spacing between each set was huge, like whatever made them had an enormous stride. The tracks circled the window, then continued toward the side of the house, right below our bedroom window. Near our cherry tree, there was a second set of prints, as if something walked out from behind the tree, and then just stopped. No return prints. No trail leading away. Nothing. They simply ended. My first thought was, okay, something was sniffing around and turned back. But there were no tracks going back. They just vanished. I spent hours looking up every possible animal track. Nothing matched. Nothing even came close. This morning, my boyfriend went outside to check again. Our dog went with him. He sniffed the tracks, and immediately the fur on his back shot up, full alert. He's calm around wildlife and has only reacted like that maybe 3 times in his life. My boyfriend said the same thing I'd been thinking, the tracks make no sense. They appear, disappear, and have no consistent pattern. And no, it didn't snow again. The wind didn't cover anything. The snow is packed and crusted. My dog's tracks from yesterday are still perfectly visible. 2 nights ago, the night the prints could have been made, I was downstairs watching a movie, scrolling Reddit. Out of nowhere, I got this intense feeling that someone was watching me. It hit me so suddenly that I got up and pulled the blinds shut. A couple hours later, I heard a bush outside moving. I assumed it was the wind or an animal. We have a blue jay with a nest out there. But then I heard it, a faint clicking noise. It's the second time in my life I've heard that exact sound. The last time was years ago, walking my dog late at night in the middle of nowhere. That sound made me physically sick. I tried to tell myself I was overthinking. I've been reading scary posts on Reddit. Maybe I freaked myself out. But now with these tracks, I don't know. We have cameras, but none on that side of the house. And nothing showed up on the others. For the past 3 days, I've had awful anxiety, heart palpitations, this constant sense of dread. And I can't pinpoint why. I've always been good at identifying the source of my anxiety. This feels different. Wrong. Like my instincts are screaming at me, but I don't know what they're warning me about. I even talked to my boyfriend and my mom about it, trying to be logical, trying not to jump to anything paranormal. But something isn't right. Something feels incredibly off. I don't know what's going on. But I don't feel safe. That's it for tonight's scary Reddit winter stories. If the snow falls outside your window tonight, just remember, you never know what might be watching. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay safe, if you can.